Good morning, I'm Paul Gordon and this is the Peorian. A few weeks ago, a couple hundred people crammed into the foyer of a new building in downtown Peoria to watch a ribbon cutting ceremony. They came there because they were excited about what that building and the work being done there will do not only for this community, but potentially for all of mankind. That statement alone should tell you I'm not talking about a museum or hotel or even Caterpillar. What generated that kind of excitement, what brought a member of President Obama's cabinet to the ribbon cutting, along with top local business and government leaders, was a laboratory. Many people hope and believe this lab will someday make groundbreaking and even life-saving discoveries in the fight against cancer. Already the researchers there, men and women who are among the top research minds in the world, have found and patented discoveries that have great potential in the treatment of cancer. And it's happening right here in Peoria. My guest this week is Dr. Sara Rusch, Regional Dean of the University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria. I'm going to talk to her about the new Cancer Research Center at the school, as well as other work being done there after these messages. Welcome back to the Peorian. My guest today is Dr. Sara Rusch, Regional Dean of the University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Rusch. I've attended many ribbon cutting ceremonies in my 30 years as a reporter. This one for the new Cancer Research Center just had a different feel to it. It was even more than excitement. I felt an air of optimism and confidence. How would you describe it?
Well, I think those are good descriptions, and I think there was sort of the joy of celebration. You know, we had a red ribbon in honor of the holiday season. I think it's partly that it was a symbol of all the collaboration. So many different people in our community helped contribute to that, to raising funds, to money, to construction costs. And then I think there's the hope of the real mission of the building, which is not just that we have a gorgeous new building, but that we hope to make discoveries which would lead to a cure for cancer. And that disease has impacted so many people that that sense of optimism that there are things that we can do here in Peoria that may make a difference helped contribute, I think, to the joy you saw at that celebration.
Is that the overall mood of the school as well?
You know, I think we're really pretty optimistic overall, not just about our cancer, but about our educational programs, about our health outcomes research, about the new Jump Trading Simulation Education Center. We have a lot of positive things happening on the horizon. We're also a state institution, and so like many state institutions, you know, we're facing the fiscal challenges that come out of this economy. But I think that we believe that we play an important role in the health of our community and see lots of exciting ways to work with others, our sponsor hospitals, St. Francis and Methodist, our community, Caterpillar Foundation, which has donated to our programs, our students, our volunteer physicians, and create something really marvelous for our community.
Wouldn't you agree that this Cancer Research Center project itself and other projects at the school stay more under the radar? At least in comparison with the museum project and Cat Visitor Center and...
Well, you know, we're not the scope of those projects, you know. I mean, those are many more millions of dollars more expensive than what we have. But I think that we do need to do a better job, and we're working on doing a better job. And obviously me being here as part of that job, talking, is to be able to tell the community about why having a school of medicine in Peoria matters. Not just because of the discoveries we make or the doctors we train or the patients we care for, but also because of our role in our healthcare economy.
Can you expand on that a little bit further? Why do you find it important to get the word out more?
Well, I think that, you know, part of what we accomplish, as I mentioned earlier, is because of our collaboration. And so the perception that we're important in the community is an important part of that ability of building collaborations.
Does it have anything to do with funding?
When you're a dean, almost everything has to do with funding in one way, shape, or form, you know, because it takes money to build your programs. The programs themselves generate money. We are about a $51 million business, you know, in terms of revenue. And so, yeah, we worry about money. But I didn't go into medicine or into being dean about money. I went into it because, you know, I believe that we can make a difference in health. And I truly believe that the school, given the right opportunities, given the right collaborative efforts, given the right support, can improve the health of our community and those communities that are around us, and perhaps make discoveries here that will impact across the world. And that opportunity, I think, is what really excites me.
You said you've been in Peoria since '78. You told me earlier, since 1978.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been the dean?
I've been the dean for 4 years.
In all of your time in Peoria, and now in the last 4 years, what changes have you seen at the school? How has it evolved?
Well, I think the school started out with an initial mission of training physicians for Central Illinois.
Okay.
And it's done an exceptional job of doing that. If you look at the primary care providers, which would be family medicine, OB, pediatrics, internal medicine, in Peoria, about 60% of them trained in one of our sponsored residencies here in Peoria. So about 60% of those primary care providers would not be here were it not for the school and the residencies that we have with our hospitals.
Wow.
You know, and that's really a phenomenal thing. And that doesn't include the specialists who go away and train and come back. So the health care that's delivered here is given to significant amount by physicians who either came to Peoria because they wanted an opportunity to teach or were graduates of our own programs. And so we've had a profound effect on health care in that regard. And that was our initial mission. Then we've moved more into direct patient care. Many of the providers in the hospitals are actually university-related employees. So we employ about 150 doctors, mostly in those specialties which are very hard to recruit, pediatric subspecialties, gynecologic oncology. The hospitals help support that because they work in the hospitals, but they wouldn't have come if there hadn't been a medical school. So the Children's Hospital and many subspecialized services would have been much more difficult to develop. And now we're moving into research, which is sort of the third leg of what we consider to be a three-legged stool that supports an academic enterprise. And we're focusing those efforts because we're not as big as the University of Chicago or even our parent, University of Illinois in Chicago. And so by focusing on cancer biology and then on health outcomes and simulation outcomes, we think we can develop very strong programs sort of in focused areas that will make us competitive in research as well.
Okay, hold that thought, please. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about the research angle, and I'm going to ask Dr. Rusch a question that I've heard others ask. Why Peoria? Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Peorian. I'm with Dr. Sara Rusch, Regional Dean of the University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria. Dr. Rusch, how did Peoria get so fortunate as to land this research center? Why Peoria over Chicago or Champaign-Urbana?
Well, I think that the membership of our community takes credit for that. So when you look at the way the Cancer Center was built, the original idea came from Dr. Don Rager, who was the dean before me, and Dr. Dick Lister, who was a neurosurgeon in town. And they felt that it was time for us to move into the kind of basic science research in cancer because of the dread implications of that disease, and that would in turn help develop brain cancer treatment and research and neurosurgical related care within the community, which it has. And so they recruited Dr. Rao. And then as his programs expanded and he started bringing in grant funding, and over the last 10 years he's brought in about $25 million of grant fundings with about another $5 million of what we call indirect cost recovery dollars. The labs filled and we ran out of room. And so we started talking about how could we build a more state-of-the-art lab. Our labs are 40 years old, the same age as our building. And so with funding from Caterpillar because of their commitment to the health of the community, St. Francis, Methodist, private donors, the city, federal, state funding, a little bit of money, $1 million from the campus in Chicago, we're able to put together the funding. And that's what's remarkable about this building, is that the money came largely out of this community, and so it couldn't have been built anywhere else.
Okay. Who was really instrumental in that? Wasn't Ray LaHood, when he was a congressman, very
Ray LaHood started calling together the people to start talking about being able to accomplish that. Representative David Leach had a strong role in helping to bring in some of the state dollars. Aaron Schock's been a participant since he took over in his role, and then when he was also in state government. The city, Mayor Artis. And so, really, I think the reason that you got that joyful atmosphere during the ribbon cutting is that, in a way, the fact that we pulled this off together is a sign of what our community can do when it works together. Different people, different roles, creativity. The whole university has never built a building using the process that we use, ever. And so very creative, very collaborative, how do you get it done kind of attitude that I think of as being sort of traditionally Midwestern. And so that's what made it unique. It could not have been built anywhere else, not because of the design, but because of the community support that provided the funding.
Was there, how did the process of getting Dr. Rao here, how did that go?
Well, I think
where was he at before?
He was at MD Anderson, which is one of the most famous cancer research facilities in the world, actually, and was leading a very successful program in brain cancer research primarily. He came here to give a talk to our neurosurgeons. They recognized him for a gem for his research skills. They had the desire, this is the people before me, to build a basic science research program. They invited him back. They pledged, that they would do remodeling and help get him started, and he in turn has pledged that he would stay in Peoria, build the program, diversify the program, bring in new recruits. So we couldn't do as much recruiting as we'd like initially because we were full. Okay. Now with additional space, we have the bottom floor to fill with new investigators.
Is there any difficulty recruiting to Peoria?
Peoria is always a little bit of a challenge because when you first hear Peoria, you don't recognize the depth of the community, what we have available, what is really an exceptional medical community in terms of what we can accomplish here. So the real trick is to get them here for the first visit. Once we get them here, then they recognize what the opportunities are.
Would Peoria have the reputation that it has as a top medical community without the school?
I don't believe so. In fact, I don't believe that our community believes so either. I might be considered to be a little bit prejudiced, however, but I wouldn't have come if it hadn't been for my residency. Okay? And many of the people in the community wouldn't have come if it hadn't been for teaching. And so if you look through and say who trained here, who came here because of the school, the opportunity to teach, I think you'd find that without the teaching research component, that our patient care would be much more pedestrian.
We're going to take a break now for messages from our sponsors. But first, here is the Peorian's own culinary and literary expert, Kevin Kaiser, to talk about what's going on in his world.
Good morning and welcome to my office-like set. Today we're featuring a new segment called You've Seen the Movie, Now Read the Book. This morning I'll highlight two very different films/novels. The first is High Fidelity, which came out in 2000 and stars John Cusack and Jack Black. The story is about Rob, a record store owner and compulsive list maker who recounts his top 5 breakups. The novel was written by Nick Hornby, who also worked on the screenplay. This is one of those great cases where the film is hilarious, showcasing the talents of a then relatively unknown Jack Black, and the book is excellent as well. In the book, Rob's compulsions are delved into in greater depth, and as in the case with most good books, fleshes out the story in much greater detail. After reading the book, the film feels like a fast-forward summary, highlighting the best parts yet staying true to the original text. The second film/novel is Apocalypse Now from 1979, starring Marlon Brando and Martin Sheen. You might not realize that the film is actually based on a novella. Do you know what the title is? Take a guess. Nope. Try again. Wrong again, my friend. Okay, I'll just tell you because you're starting to look foolish. The novella is Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. The story is about an English riverboat captain in Africa whose primary job is to transport ivory. However, his company has tasked him with another job, bringing back a man named Kurtz, another ivory trader, who has gone rogue. Kurtz created a cult-like environment around himself deep in Africa and is described variously as a musician, a writer, a painter, and a genius. Now, if you've seen Apocalypse Now, you no doubt recognize the storyline, which was basically transplanted to Vietnam. The novella is a short read, hence the moniker novella, while the film is a long view with a runtime of nearly 3 hours, but both are well worth the effort. So that's it for You've Seen the Movie, Now Read the Book. But you know, I still have some time left, so what the hell, let's do another segment. This one's called What's Kevin Reading? Right now I'm reading Solar by Ian McEwan. McEwan is the well-respected author of novels like Saturday and Atonement, the latter of which could make a future appearance on You've Seen the Movie, Now Read the Book. Solar is about a fat, middle-aged Nobel Prize-winning physicist who cheats on his wives, sends an innocent man to jail, and steals plans from another scientist to stop global warming. Charming. The novel is actually a comedy, or more of a satire, and I'm just getting started with it. So there you go, 2 new segments. It's quite a value for what you're paying, which is nothing. And as always, you're welcome. Stay classy, Peoria.
We're back with Dr. Sara Rusch from the University of Illinois College of Medicine at Peoria. I wanted to go back a little bit in our at the end of our last segment. We were talking about Peoria's reputation, if not for the medical school. What does having a school like this mean for the community as a whole? Not just its reputation, but economy and all other aspects of the community.
Well, we talked a little bit about the impact that we had on the healthcare here. And healthcare now is either the first or second largest employer in the community if you add up all the hospitals, doctor's offices, and everything. And if you look at, for instance, St. Francis, about a third of the patients there come from outside the Tri-County, meaning when they come, their families come, they use the hotel rooms and everything like that. So the healthcare is key to the whole community because of its economic impact, and it's important to have a diversified economy. So the school's been very important to that. We also recruit people who tend to be in better compensated positions, whether they're physicians or research technicians, laboratory workers, and they spend then out in the community. So most people say the AAMC, which is the American Association of Medical Colleges, says that for every dollar that we have in our budget, there's about a multiplier of 2.3, which if you say we have a $50 million budget, means that's about $130 million benefit to the community. So that means that we have a strong economic impact. And then having the school and the healthcare in turn makes the community more appealing to other employers, other businesses. And so I think that it all sort of works together to make Peoria an appealing place to live. I do think our community consistently underestimates the quality and depth of medical care that is provided in Peoria. They don't realize because they haven't been to other places, but really the level of medical care that this community provides is exceptional. And when I bring in people from famous places that come here, they're always astounded at what we do, what we deliver, how we provide care. And so I think the community should be grateful because when you're sick, you want the best care possible available to you immediately to hand, and Peoria is blessed by having that.
A lot of people still will go to Mayo Clinic or other places. Do they really need to?
They really rarely need to. There are a few things. Peoria can't provide certain types of bone marrow transplants, heart transplants, liver transplants. And then sometimes they go and they get a second opinion, but when I have patients in the past who've gone there, they've generally come back and said, they told me just exactly what you said. But now I feel better because, Mayo blessed it. They said that you were right. And so I think sometimes it's that comfort level. So I never discourage people from going because what they learn is that the care they have here in Peoria is very good.
Would you say that University of Illinois, College of Medicine at Peoria, or the College of Medicine, University of Illinois, is it becoming one of the top medical schools in the country, or in your opinion, is it there?
I think we still have opportunity to grow. We have need to continue. Medical school is very competitive. We want to continue to pull in the best and the brightest students. I think we have areas where, particularly rural health, where we really need to figure out how to motivate and get physicians returning to rural communities. The University of Illinois School of Medicine is very committed to diversity because people, whether you're a rural person returning to a rural place or an urban person returning to an underserved urban community, you tend to return to where you're comfortable and where what your background is. And so it's important to recruit from a diversity of areas, and we're very committed to diversity. We're shifting our curriculum around more to problem solving. In days gone by, when I trained, you had to have everything in your head, all the knowledge, because there was nothing electronic, and you didn't have time if a patient was in trouble to run to the library. Now you can pull out your phone and pull up, the 45 causes of something. And so what you really have to teach more is about how to access information appropriately, how to think through your questions in order, when to use tests and when to use good old-fashioned physical exam and conversation. And so we redesign our curriculum too, because I think we increasingly realize we've always known that communication was an important skill for a doctor to have, but we've got so much technology and electronics and computerized medical records that we've tended to lose a little of that, and we're really working hard to bring back that sense that your doctor doesn't just care about your your blood count or your x-ray, but cares about you as a person, as an individual, with a parent, with a child, with a social situation. And so we work really hard on that.
We hear about how technology helps with making sure somebody doesn't get the wrong prescription, that sort of thing. I guess we don't think about how technology, you almost have to teach a technology 101 in the medical school.
Oh, yeah, absolutely we do. And I think that, we teach also communication skills. That'll be part of what we do at the new jump trading. You'll teach technical skills, procedures, and things on that order, but we'll also teach people how to talk to a standardized patient, an actor type patient.
I'm going to have you back on to talk about the jump training someday.
It's a great thing.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Rusch. I appreciate your time. And thank you for watching today. Remember, you can watch our show in its entirety on our website, thepeorian.com. And join us next week for another edition of The Peorian. Have a good week.
Música